今回の提言がこれから起こる事故に対してのものだということはちょっと重々承知の上でお伺いするんですけれども、現在福島県では18歳以下の全県民を対象に検査が行われています。またこの提言を受けて、そのことに関連して議論が起こっていることもあろうかと思います。この福島県の検査についてどういうふうにお考えになりますか。
I know that this is a burning question for you, but I really try to explain again why this report cannot be used for an evaluation of the situation in Fukushima. It is because the experience from Fukushima that was shared with us in a very open and transparent way, for which we are very thankful for the colleagues, is a very important element for developing these recommendations. So you could ask the question in the same way as how would your report have looked like if we did not have the Fukushima experience available? And then my answer to you would really be, I don't know. The Fukushima experience is a very important element for why we could give these recommendations of against the population screening and having a thyroid health monitoring program in place that includes education as a very important element, and it also has included a framework that you prepare the population of a possible nuclear accident before such an accident happens. So this is really the experience from Fukushima that drives these recommendations very much, because what we have learned from the Fukushima accident is you can have a nuclear accident where there's no massive radiation problem in the population because you can take countermeasures to protect the population from high radiation exposure. And this is not what was the assumption before this accident has happened. So this report can clearly not be used for making any assessment of the situation in Fukushima. This would need to be a separate discussion where you have to take the current situation into account. But our report is written in the way it is now because we could all use all the lessons learned from the Fukushima accident in developing these forward-looking recommendations. So I hope this makes it clear why you should not take statements out of this report, apply them to the Fukushima situation, because that would be the wrong order. The guidelines have been developed based on the Fukushima experience, so you can't reverse the order in this. And I think this is a very important distinction. We have this report because the information of what happened after the Fukushima accident was shared with us in such an open and transparent way. And this is why they look like how they are now.
提言2のところで聞きたいんですけど、ハイリスク群のところなんですけど、長期的なフォローっていうのは大体何年ぐらいを想像していらっしゃるのでしょうか。それと福島県の甲状腺検査だと、その19歳ぐらいからみんな結婚したりで県外に出たりして、その健康状態がフォローできないっていう状況が今問題点として、その受診率の低下っていうのがあるんですけど、長期的に見ていくっていうのは、その福島県がフォローすべきなのか、それとも国がフォローすべきなのかっていうあたりで何か提言があったら教えてください。
So this is a very good question, and this is again an opportunity to remind that the thyroid monitoring program that we suggest is based on the individual and the shared decision making between the clinicians and the affected person. What we see from the Chernobyl data is that actually the increased thyroid cancer risk pertains over a long time. I mean, we don't have the lifetime data yet, because the people who were exposed as children after the Chernobyl accident, they're still in their 50s and 60s. But we can see that the increased thyroid cancer risk pertains. So there is no kind of scientific evidence where you could say this is the age where you would stop. But of course, with increasing age, it becomes less and less likely that you develop the thyroid cancer. And of course, it becomes more and more a consideration. Do I really want to undergo this examination, or do I feel reassured that if I, for example, develop clinical symptoms, I can still receive the best treatment and it will not be a life-threatening situation. So the same informed, shared decision-making applies throughout your lifetime, and you can practically always change your mind. So if you opted in for thyroid examinations in the beginning, you have also, of course, really, when hearing the benefits and harms, of course, some people may not even opt in to the thyroid screening program or the thyroid monitoring program. So each time it will be a new decision. And I mean, moving is not necessarily a problem, because I think high-quality thyroid examinations can be provided practically at every university clinic in the same high-quality way.
シンカレフ先生にお尋ねしたいというふうに思います。今回のその提言に、その他のものとして、自己初期のその占領のモニタリングについても含まれているということで、今日詳しいお話がお聞きできて、日本ではそれが非常に不十分だったということで、多分一つ混乱になっていると思いますので、参考になったんですが、初期の要素の計測はどのぐらいの期間まで可能というふうに考えられるか、例えば先生は4月の初旬に東京にいらしてモニタリングされたということなんですけど、その時期で可能だったかどうかっていうことを教えていただきたいというの、もし参考までに東京の人たちのですね、平均ないし高いレベルはどのぐらいだったかっていう被爆線量も教えていただければと思いますけど、測定時期について教えてください。
Thank you for your question. We arrived, you are right, we arrived at the beginning of April, and we used, in order to measure item content, mobile spectrometry equipment with minimum detectable activity 100 becquerel in the thyroid. And among 268 citizens who lived in Tokyo, we identified only three persons that reached just minimum detectable activity, 100, 130. And it corresponds to dose to the thyroid from iodine 131 for thyroid, for adult, 2 milligray. 2 milligray. It's the highest dose. Average, according to our estimate, should be 10 times less, according to experience of Chernobyl. Average dose is distinguished from maximum by about factor of 10. It's log normal distribution of individual dose. So average dose to Tokyo citizens 0.2 milligray, very low. Background, usually I would like to remind you that usually background exposure from natural radiation is about at least 1 millisievert external exposure and 1.2, 0.4 from radon. But if we are talking about exposure to the thyroid from natural radiation, is about 1 milligray, less than natural annually background. And in principle, you can measure, again, after the accident, iodine content in the thyroid depends upon which instrument you use. Is simple sorimeter, this duration is shorter. If you use spectrometry instrument, it's longer, because minimum detectable activity, they are more sensitive, less.
Iarc の、TMNUC 報告書を見ますと、ルービン論文に言及されています。これは100から200ミリグレーのレンジには、報告書で言及されているのですが、50ミリグレーで相対リスクが 1.5 ほど上がるということには触れてはいません。Iarcの報告書ではこのような、50ミリグレー程度のリスク、ルービン論文での、言及にはどう捉えているのか。今日シュッツ先生のプレゼンテーションの中には100から500というのが敷地ではなくプラクティカルな実用的な値だということもお話をされておられましたので、このルービン論文の50ミリグレーという値は、リスクがあるけど実務的ではないという評価なのか、どのような評価をされているのかというのを教えてください。
So, thank you. This is a very good question for clarification because we have to keep two things separate. I mean, when it comes to radiation and the risk of thyroid cancer, the best model that we have is that there's a linear, no threshold relationship, meaning that the risk would increase already the lowest doses to the thyroid that would increase your risk of thyroid cancer. But of course, at the magnitude that the absolute risk for a person developing thyroid cancer remains extremely small. So thyroid cancer is a very rare disease. So roughly the chances of a child to develop thyroid cancer without any radiation exposure is about 1 in 10,000. So even if we have a doubling in risk, this means the risk for the individual increases to 1 in 5,000. And here we would already talk at the order of something around 100 milligray. So if you go below 100 milligray, this becomes even smaller and closer to the 1 in 10,000. So when we had to decide for the action level, this was really a pragmatic approach because you cannot achieve this zero risk for an exposure, first of all, that as Dr. Shinkarev mentioned, you have natural background radiation exposure, so you would not get the exposure down to zero anyway. So you have a background risk in the population, irrespective of whether there's a nuclear accident or not. You had to choose a level that is in a way a pragmatic balance between trying to be as complete as possible in identifying all the radiation-induced thyroid cancers in the population, and at the same time try to minimize those cases that you would find through a monitoring that would not require any treatment throughout their lifetime, which we call these overdiagnosed cases. And our feeling in the expert group, and this is really an expert judgment based on the scientific data and not hard facts that come out from the data, is that if you put this action level somewhere in the range between 100 milligray and 500 milligray to either be more inclusive or rather be more exclusive of the overdiagnosed cases, then this would probably be the best approach for the scientific data we have available now in defining your higher risk population.
シュッツ先生にお伺いしたいんですけども、今の話と関連したハイリスク群レコメンデーションの方で100ミリから500ミリグレーというふうにしてますけれども、これは今そのお話聞いて考えは分かったんですが、もしその将来原発事故が起きた場合にその要素剤の投与基準っていうのは何ミリグレーっていうふうに先生お考えなんでしょうか。それ100っていうふうなことなんですかね。
That's a very good question. I think for the application of the thyroid blocking, because this has to follow immediately after the accident. So I think here we would really have a problem of a time competition between having good dose estimates and really taking the necessary action for the thyroid blocking, because the thyroid blocking theoretically should be before the exposure, so it really has to follow immediately to the accident. So here I would rather apply the criteria that are also suggested by WHO by selecting as the high-risk groups, the ones that are the most vulnerable to radiation, not applying any action levels or something, but give the thyroid blocking to all the children, to all the pregnant women, to all the breastfeeding women as a priority. And if you have more, you can also, of course, give it to the adults. But here I would be more inclusive. Don't wait for the dose assessment. Thyroid blocking had to be implemented immediately. So good question. Thank you.
なかなかその原発事故の備えが自分のことというふうに考えるのっていうのは日々の日常を暮らしていると難しいのかなと思うんですけれども、考慮すべきことの中で原子力発電所周辺に住む住民の教育とリスクコミュニケーションというのがあるんですが、事故の規模にもよるんでしょうけど、大体これ原発周辺って何キロとかそういう目処ってがもしあれば教えてください。
So this is a very challenging question, and I mean here, I mean our report is a framework report that should apply for all theoretical, hypothetical situations. So we have some 50 countries in the world that operate nuclear power, and we also have some neighboring countries with nuclear power that might be affected even when these countries do not have nuclear power. So our kind of report had to capture a lot of possible very different scenarios, and you can imagine that I mean, the topographical structure has a huge impact, whether you have a mountain area compared to a very kind of flat area, whereby the wind, the drift could cover a much larger area. Fukushima, we had the sea on one side, which of course makes a difference. In some other countries, you have nuclear power plants that are really in the middle of the country, where of course in all wind directions, probably large populations would be affected. So we cannot give any kind of standard definitions. I think again, the important part would be to, as Dr. Shinkarev described, to be prepared for a dose assessment, to take these representative populations, make some a priori calculations of where you would probably expect some higher exposure, then take some samples from these areas, and by this kind of define what the vicinity really is. But I think how large this vicinity would be, that could extremely vary depending on really a lot of parameters. It might be some 50 kilometers in one situation and country, and it might be a much smaller area in another country, just based to the circumstances and the meteorological conditions and a lot of factors.
ありがとうございました。会場の関係で記者会見はここまでとさせていただきます。本日はどうもありがとうございました。